Time now to hear from the government this morning. I'm joined now by Housing Minister Matthew Pennycook. Very good morning to you.
Morning.
Thanks for joining us today. The Prime Minister yesterday laid out his 6 measurable milestones. He reiterated as one of those the pledge by Labour to build 1.5 million homes. He admitted yesterday that it was going to be an almighty challenge. So, as Housing Minister, how do you rate your own chances of hitting it?
Well, the Prime Minister is absolutely right. It is an almighty challenge. We've never been anything other than utterly candid about the fact that we think it's an achievable target, but it's an incredibly stretching target. But it is the right thing to do. And I sort of put to you what would be the alternative. We could have picked a very easy target, such as the previous government did, 1 million homes over a parliament. That would have been easy to achieve. It wouldn't have met the scale of the crisis that we face at the moment. We've got an acute and entrenched housing crisis in this country. We've got a generation locked out of home ownership. We've got 1.3 million people on social housing waiting lists. We've got to be ambitious. So, yes, it's stretching. It will be difficult to achieve. We think it is achievable, though, and we need to bend all the government to that aim. OK,
so you think it's achievable, but it would mean a rate of house building not seen for more than 50 years. And councils say this target is impossible. They say it doesn't take into account some of the strains on local infrastructure, for example, land shortages, the lack of capacity in the planning system and construction industry.
There are a huge number of challenges. Let me take a couple of those in turn. We do need planning reform to ensure that we're getting the amount of permissions into the planning system that we need to build 1.5 million homes. We took very swift action within a month of coming into office to reform the National Planning Policy Framework. We're on course to deliver that revised framework before the end of the year. We've got to take action in other areas. Absolutely right. Local authorities' capacity and capability on planning departments is a huge issue. That's why there was over £50 million of investment in the budget to help support those local authorities. In addition, same with construction. We're working with the industry to open new home building skills hubs so that we can roll out and address the fact that we've got an ageing construction workforce. But we've got a comprehensive and fundamental plan to address all of these challenges. And as I say, with the right focus, determination and energy, I'm confident that we can meet that stretching target.
The reason I was going to cut in there was you talk about skills shortages. We haven't got enough builders, have we? I mean, the economists at Capital Economics, for example, have said the government will need a further 500,000 construction workers in England to fulfil the goal. We've got a problem here, haven't we?
We have got a problem. We've got an ageing construction workforce. We've got a not particularly diverse construction workforce either. We've got to take action on a number of steps. That means, I think, investing in training, looking at how we can shape local labour markets, getting the skills hubs out there, the training and apprenticeship opportunities. Some overseas workers will be required. The previous government added construction to the shortage occupation list. It's made a bit of a difference, but not enough. We've got to do more to train and upskill our own workforce to fill those vacancies and look at innovation and reform. There's a lot that can be done through modern methods of construction. We've got to take action across the board. And we are. I was at a round table just last week with ministerial colleagues from the Department for Education, the Department of Work and Pensions, Department of Business. This is a good example of mission-led government breaking down silos and getting the whole of government working behind those milestones. And these are the milestones that the public will be able to monitor progress on, look at how we are delivering on those stretching targets we've set
Bringing in more construction workers from abroad is going to put your pledge to reduce net migration under strain, isn't it?
We don't want to bring vast numbers of construction workers from abroad. I'm saying the previous government added construction to the shortage occupation list. We want to do much more as part of that general effort to bring down levels of legal as well as illegal migration, to train and upskill our own workforce here in the UK.
As well as house building, you're also promising 150 infrastructure projects, which amounts to a tripling of projects. When you came into government, decisions were made to cancel various projects. If they weren't affordable then, how come they are now?
Well, specific projects were cancelled, but if you look at the number of decisions we've already taken on nationally significant infrastructure projects, we've taken 6 that in the 5 months we've been in office. In the whole of 2023, 8 decisions were taken, so we're already on course to outperform previous government rate. What we're saying here is we expect about 150 decisions on critical national infrastructure to come through in the Parliament, and we're going to take them in a timely way. It's absolutely essential that we streamline the delivery of critical national infrastructure as well as housing to get Britain building again, to get economic growth up.
OK, so give us one specific example of an infrastructure project that you will give the go-ahead to.
We've given the go-ahead to the 6 we've already taken a decision on this year.
There are things like this 150 that you're saying you're going to roll out?
Well, I'm not going to prejudge every decision because, ministers need to look at each individual decision in the round and see whether it's the right thing. But we are committed to making timely and speedy decisions on nationally critical infrastructure. We think that's the right benchmark to make. We can't have a slow consenting process here. We've got to get this critical national infrastructure out. It's absolutely essential, in particular for missions like clean power by 2030.
What about some of those cancelled infrastructure projects, the new road tunnel at Stonehenge, the A27 Arundel bypass, for example? What about the northern leg of HS2? Could those be revived? Well,
no, some specific projects were cancelled at the budget due to the very, very difficult inheritance we found on the economic side. Those are specific decisions. What we're talking about here is we expect around 150 decisions to come through the pipeline over the course of the next Parliament. We are going to make very speedy and timely decisions on those infrastructure projects to give business the certainty it needs to roll out that critical national infrastructure and help us meet those missions, meet those milestones, in particular, as I said, that mission for clean power by 2030.
Keir Starmer yesterday was pretty rude about civil servants, wasn't he? He seemed to be channeling Donald Trump when he said, I don't think there's a swamp to be drained here, but too many people are comfortable in the tepid bath of managed decline. Do you think insulting civil servants is the right way to make progress?
I don't think the Prime Minister was insulting civil servants in any way. Look, I have found in the 5 months that we've been in office, in the civil service, some of the most dedicated, committed and professional people I have ever worked with.
So you don't recognise that picture of people resisting reform?
Well, no. What we've got to do is try and work with the civil service to do government in a different way. The example I gave you on construction skills is a good example. We've got to break down silos in the civil service. We've got to have government working in a different way. And we've got to take the civil service along with us to do government differently. So that will involve some change. There might be people who are not particularly comfortable with that change. We've got to take them with us. But in no way we're disparaging the civil service. It's absolutely essential, as I say, a bunch of incredibly committed and professional people working with us, but we've got to change the way we do things.
You say you've got to take the civil service with you, but I've just read out the quote from Keir Starmer. Is that the way to do it, do you think?
Well, I mean, those who are comfortable with the way things have gone, I think we do need to say we want to do things differently. We're going to put in place very, very stretching targets and milestones that we can be monitored on. So we are going to do things differently. We want the ambition to increase. That's the only way we're going to deliver change. And the civil service needs to come with us on that, needs to change in some ways the way it acts and work with government to deliver on those missions.
A quick question. The Prime Minister said this morning that he can't rule out more tax rises in this Parliament. That's going to worry a lot of people, isn't it?
Well, you can never rule out tax rises in situations that might arise, special circumstances. But the Prime Minister has been very clear in his interview this morning. We've got no plan whatsoever for further tax rises in this Parliament. We can never rule out things that are unexpected events, etc.
Just a very quick question on immigration. 6 milestones announced yesterday, house building amongst them, which we've talked about. Why was there no measurable milestone on immigration?
Well, the Home Secretary was very clear in the interviews I saw yesterday. We've got to bring down the levels of both legal and illegal migration. We've got to take steps, relates to the answer I just gave you on construction, to address the root causes of some of the high levels of immigration we've seen, which are by design, not accident, particularly relying on overseas workers to fill shortages. So we've got to do more to grow our homegrown talent. But we're not going to announce arbitrary targets on migration in the way the previous government. No, but when you don't make it
one of your measurable milestones, people will think it's not a priority, or they'll think if you set a milestone, you think you can't meet it.
Well, it's in the Plan for Change document. It's one of our foundational elements to that. It runs through everything we do, border security. We're not going to, as the previous government did, just pick arbitrary targets on migration that aren't here. I think that undermines public trust and confidence. But we're very, very clear. Levels of legal and illegal migration must come down, and we're already taking concerted steps to ensure that's the case.
OK, Matthew Pennycook, Housing Minister. We're out of time, but thanks very much indeed for joining us this morning. Thank you.